Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kiritohu19 and we are going to be starting a new series on the channel called Storytime with Kiritohu19. Obviously for entertainment, this is going to be embellished for obvious reasons because I'm trying to make this entertaining for you guys, and names have been changed out of request from the people who are in the story. But let's get into it. I met these people back in April of 2020, or pretty early in the pandemic. I just moved out on my own, and we'll call these people June and Jane. We became friends rather quickly. We camped a lot. We just enjoyed each other's company. So, they brought up at one point going to California just on a whim in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. At that point, I was really homesick. I'd not been to where I'd spent a good chunk of my childhood in probably at this point 5 years, and really wanted to go back. In the same day that we decided to leave, my ex-girlfriend decided to break up with me right after she'd gotten a car accident. I was actually on my way to go see her in the hospital. She's like, no, we're done. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm, as any 19-year-old would be, quite upset. That first major girlfriend, and everything was super serious at the time, and then she decides to end it. But that's not important for the story. So we are now at this point just driving around with June and Jane. We're just coming up with ideas of something to do. And I'm like, oh, let's go to Arizona. I was upset still, actually really upset. We're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Mind you, I had lost my bank card at some point during the day and was like, no biggie, I'll just use my credit card. Everything's cool, right? So we pack up all of our camping equipment. The plan is to drive down, sleep for a couple hours, and go sightseeing and stuff, and seeing what Flagstaff has to offer. So it was going to be super fun. It was probably going to be a couple days. In, out, and then we're back up. Okay, cool. So we get everything loaded. Mind you, I, at that time, owned a Scion XB, so not the most spacious car. So we crammed in like sardines, as you would expect us to, and we made our final stop at a Asian grocery store that I lived near at the time, and picked up our snacks and whatever we wanted, drink-wise or whatever. So here's the cast of who's in the car right now. We have me, Kiritohu19. We have June, and we have Jane passed out in the back seat with her dog sitting next to her. So we're like, okay, cool. So we start driving along. Mind you, it's like 7 p.m. at this point by the time we get out of Provo area. So we're, pretty excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. As soon as we leave the valley like that, June passes out, or Jane passes out like that. She's out like a, she's out like a switch. So we don't think much of it. She did explain to us, oh yeah, I tend to crash when we do long drives. I'm like, okay, cool. So we make it to a little town for our first fuel stop called Nephi, and that's where we do our first switcheroo on drivers. So we get all of our, and it also gives us time to stretch our legs and, allows us to stretch your legs and, get use the bathroom or whatever we needed to do. Mind you, the car I had also only had a 10-gallon fuel tank, so we were going to have to stop roughly every 300 to 250 miles. So, just to be safe, I would always stop roughly about 250 or wherever the nearest town was with a gas station. Because if you look at a map of southern Utah, there is a couple big-ish towns, but they're not big enough where there's a lot there. Most of the time it's a gas station, a couple houses. You know how that is. Small area, very rural, out in the middle of nowhere. So we continue. Into the night sky. It's a beautiful night. After we do our next switch, we're just jamming music, having a good time. We're just laughing, talking. It's you know, it was a beautiful time. We're super excited to go to Arizona. I haven't been back. They'd never been before, so they were excited to see what I kept talking about at the time. So, you know, we continue trudging along. It's getting pretty late, and, you know, as I'd been up for, at this point, over 20 hours, I was a little tired, but, you know, I had excitement running through me to make it through. So I knew as soon as we got to Flagstaff, okay, we'd crash for a couple hours, everything would be fine. So we get to a couple hours go by, we go through Moab, you know. Then we get to a tiny town on the north of the Navajo reservation called Page. Keep this town in mind for later in the story. But at this point, it was just, we got gas, we all went to the bathroom, did what we had to do, got more caffeine or whatever we were getting snack-wise, and then we continued trudging on. At that point, I had switched, so June took over for a little bit so I could get a little bit of sleep. So I got about 30 minutes, and then June switched. June was like, I'm not comfortable driving out here, so I switched back. That's okay. You know, things happen. I completely get it. It was in the middle of nowhere, and there was a lot of animals out. At one point, I almost hit an owl head on, which would have been an interesting story to tell, but also my parents didn't know. I was kind of we were still talking at the time, and I was trying to be on good terms with them, and they're like, don't ever go to Arizona by yourself right now. It's crazy out there. Whatever. I did it anyways. I still don't think they know, but who knows? We haven't spoken in a couple years. But that's another story for another time. But, you know, we make it to roughly about a half an hour away from Flagstaff. We're super excited. Everyone's awake. You know, finally, Sleeping Beauty decides to wake up. So we do one of our final fuel stops before we hit Flagstaff. So I'm like, okay, cool. We get in, pull into a little tiny town called Cameron. And if you've been to Cameron, the only thing exciting about Cameron is the fact that there's a giant roundabout in the middle of nowhere and a couple gas stations. Pretty rural, but it's also the next stop on our list of places to be. So I go out and get gas. It's about 3 a.m. So we check one gas station. The pumps are shut off. It is also pretty early, so we're like, okay, whatever. We'll go to the next gas station. So we end up turning around the roundabout, go to the next one. And then, so it goes through, has an error, that's okay. We're fine. I tried it in. And then I notice $100 off my card has been taken. I'm like, what the heck? Later I were to find out that that they hold roughly about $100, and then about roughly 24 hours later, they refund you what you hadn't used for filling up your vehicle. Okay, cool. I'm at this point freaking out. I'd been up for, at this point, over 24 hours. Now, Jane decides, oh yeah, I have to be home at 3 p.m. Meanwhile, me and June both look at her like, and you couldn't have told this to us maybe 6 or 7 hours ago when we were still in the area. She's like, oh, I fell asleep too quickly. I was going to say something, but I forgot. We're like, great. We're low on fuel, so we just do what we could, turned around. I fell asleep. I'm like, give me a half hour of sleep. I'm stressing out. I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? Am I going to have to call my parents so they can wire some money, or what the heck's going to go on? You know, and if they do find out, oh, I'm busted. I'm, going to be in a lot of trouble with them. In all seriousness, I really didn't care because at the time I wasn't living with them. But still, they would have been disappointed, and, I was trying to keep good terms with them. So, whatever. Luckily, June's friend was like, okay, I can give you some money. So then we got to Page and then realized that the Maverick we were trying to get gas at didn't open till 5. So we sat there for about, give or take, an hour now, just sitting there waiting for the gas station to open. It opens. June runs in quickly, gives her a card, they get us gas, and we're on our way. Cool. Now, here's the final grave mistake we made. Instead of looking where we were going, we took the scenic route, which would have been fine in any other instance if we were just, had money and stuff, but of course we were broke. So we're like, and we didn't realize this until we had made it back to Provo at this point. We're like, you gotta be kidding me, right? So, the scenery is beautiful. Actually, for a while, June and Jane did not speak to me. They were so mad after I pulled that stunt. And frankly, I don't blame them. I'll admit I was an idiot, but now we, laugh about it. It's still a very common story we bring up. Hey, remember when Kirito who decided, let's go to Arizona in the middle of the night, and we almost got stranded because their card decided to decline? We laugh about it, I hope you all... Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has taken me a long time to produce, but thank you all for watching. If you are new here and have not subscribed already and you like what I'm doing, please hit the like button and subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year. And if you want to achieve that, so I will play Doki Doki Literature Club on stream here in the next couple months, or whenever we hit that goal. Hit the subscribe button, like it, and share it with all your friends. Alrighty, until then, this has been Kirito Who 19. Until I see you guys next time,